She's sugary, she's spice. She is everything plus nice. Take her one-on-one class and she provides the best advice. She'll take you down to the trenches, but only to lead a new way. Only for the sake of you and your legacy to establish a new day. Let's give a warm welcome to the Chief Reprimander and the Supreme Hugger, G. Smith. G. Smith.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Chi Show special edition, right? Listen, generally we are not here on Thursdays, but I'm telling you, we have a very, very special guest. You guys will not be disappointed. I am thoroughly excited to have this wonderful guest on our show on tonight. Generally, you guys know that we are here every Tuesday, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, with all of our knowledge, wisdom, clarity, and understanding to provide with you guys. Why? Because we need it, right? We need it. We need it for us. And we're here for us generally, right? And so not only are we here for us, but as we journey and go through our process, we also need it for other people. What good are we just to ourselves? Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some chi, and I know you love you too. But at the end of the day, it's all about growth, and we should be interested in other individuals growing. So let us work on us so that we can help others. And then what? So that others can help others. It's a full domino effect. Now, those of you who tune in every week know you better go get what? Your pen and your paper. That's right. Why? Because we drop knowledge. We drop knowledge here at the Energy Show. There is so much content and information that is shared from our special guests, from myself, that you want to write things down, because as you journey with this on the show, there are different gems that are dropped. Okay. There are different information that you probably would not have gotten anywhere else. So you want to make sure you go to your specific journal. Hopefully you got an Inner Chi Show journal, so that every week you are writing information down that you can always go back to. You can meditate on it, evaluate it, assess it. Because guess what? Not all information is good information. Not all information is for you. Again, some of this information is for other people. So maybe you can say, you know what? I've graduated from there, but Jimmy still got some challenges. Let me see if I can shoot Jimmy some of this Chi knowledge, or some of the special guests from Chi Show knowledge, right? Maybe even slide some on their desk. You know, we just got finished having Valentine's Love Day, all that stuff, right? You could have slipped a little note in their little card, and they little, bear basket or whatever. We want to give information as we get it, but do understand that we are here to help ourselves. And so tonight, y'all, we are talking about love and happiness. When I tell you this special guest is divine, okay? Divine. And it was a divine assignment how I even met the wonderful guest. And we won't unpack that tonight. We will make sure we cover the topic for tonight. But tonight we're talking about love and happiness. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand what that means for you? Do you understand what that means in a relationship? We're going to cover all that. Listen, the special guest is the expert on this tonight, and we're going to allow him to share all this wonderful information. So share and like. If you haven't hit that share and like button, share and like. Make sure you put in the comment section where you are tuning in from. We have people all over this wonderful nation, as well as those international. So thank you so much for tuning in. But without further ado, we are going to introduce Baba Makanjula. Baba Makanjula.
Baba Makanjula.
Makanjula. Give me right. Look, Chief Smith is not too big to be corrected. Listen, names are important and names have meaning, so we want to make sure we are doing this correctly. How are you this evening, King?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am awesome. It's an awesome day when you can, help others graduate to the next level, and or help them see the light in a way that they may not have seen it before. So it's always a good day when that takes place.
Shizzle.
Yes. So listen, tell the audience we have a very diverse audience. We've got quite a few people tuning in already. We are on a couple of platforms. And so let the people know who you are. And let's be real. they may not have ever seen a name such as yours, so they may want to understand, what does that name mean?
Makanju Allah means Baba just means the term for man, like father. But Makanju Allah is my name from my Ifa initiation, which is, it means do not be in a hurry for honor. Be
Do
patient.
not. Yeah, go ahead.
Just be patient. That's basically what it means. Do not be in a hurry for honor. I mean, honor is coming, but don't rush it.
I love that. And so how long have you been going by that name? Because you mentioned EFI, so we're going to dig into that too, because many of our audience may not understand what EFI means. And so I also want to share with our audience that our special guest is an Ori coach. So Ori Ini is the name of your organization.
Yes.
And we're going to go into that as well. So, but first, and you let me know, and you let the audience know, should we talk about Ori Ini, what that is, and does that lead to EFI, or does EFI come first, for those who may not know?
Ifa will come first.
Wonderful, wonderful. So share with the audience, what is EFI?
Ifa is a very brilliant, beautiful system that has been left here for some African gods, deities, for us human beings to follow on this earth while we are here, to figure out and to help us figure out our destiny and our purpose of being here. It's very ancient practice. A lot of people have heard of probably the Orishas by now. It's the most popular thing that people know about. But it's a Nigerian-based African spirituality, which a lot of us came from that little corridor of Africa into the slave trade. But that's what we come from, that area. Ifa is the system. It's manned by, in our practice, we call Olodumare. We consider Olodumare like most would consider God. And then Olodumare has his help, which we call Irumale or Orisha, that people know about. And below that, we have the people like ancestors, and then we have like us living here, walking, doing the work in the physical. So Ifa is that system that the Olodumare or Orumila actually left for us to be able, once we're born, to tap into, to be able to figure out where we're supposed to go in our life, what's our destiny, what's our purpose, what's our good, what's our bad, things we should stay away from, things we should run towards, stuff like that.
Wow. That's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that so much. How did you get introduced to EFI? Is that, did you kind of grow up knowing about this system? Was that kind of taught in your home, or did you have a mentor, a leader, or someone that, was walked alongside of you in your upbringing? How did you get introduced to EFI?
Kind of a spooky question, but I'll tell you if you want me to tell the truth.
We speak truth here, and no judgment, because we speak all truth here. We are leading people, and we are sharing information. So,
well, I was in a barbershop getting a haircut, about to get a haircut, and I was reading a book called "Everything Your Church Doesn't Want You to Know About Jesus." It's a red book, and as I was reading this book, this lady kept looking at me. I couldn't tell why, but she never said anything. She left. She later called the barbershop and said, "Hey, who was that guy reading that book?" And he handed me the phone, and we exchanged phone numbers. Long story short, she wound up telling me about Ifa. I went to go see her Babalao, sat on the mat, and from the day I sat on that mat, I was like, this is what I've been trying to do.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay. And that was 10, 15 years ago?
About 2009, so.
Okay. Nice. A little over 10 years ago. Okay. That's 15. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And so with that has been a part of your daily lifestyle. And I have to believe that actually, that with that grooming and that teaching, move you into the Orieni. Help us understand that transition from building on the E5 system personally or collectively, and then moving you into the Orieni to where you're an Ori coach.
Well, that's a long process, but I went E5 for so much because I was since 2009 I've done so many things. It's these things they call in E5 they call ebos and offerings. A lot of people do that, like to Oshun and stuff like that, but and other deities. But there's things we call ebos, and I was training under a Bible Al for like 3 years or so, just for free, just going and helping do whatever he needed me to do. And during that process, I began to see that people really are not really ready to do the sacrificial work within themselves to make the changes. So they're looking for something else to be sacrificed to change them. It kind of bothered me to watch these things. In E5, we have what we call real sacrifices where things will have to actually transition, right? That process bothered me because I couldn't understand why these things have to go to help this person to see who they don't want to see. So, long story short, after I got initiated, my life started to change. E5 came in and started shifting and shaking my life up. And I got divorced within 8 months after that. I lost my house within 8 months after that. I had to move in with family members, which was embarrassing after that. And I went into like a dark space. So I was like, after everything I've done in E5, like, why am I in this space? Like, what is happening? Like, why am I not elevating? And it got to a really dark space where I was pretty much in a depression. And a friend of mine heard it in my voice, and she called a chief back in Nigeria, and he did a reading for me right away. And the reading came back in death. Like as if I didn't do something now that probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. So, they did the elbow and the work for me, the sacrificial work for me. But his prescription to me was to stay in the house for 17 days and do not leave my house. So I did. I listened. I'm very obedient to E5. So I stayed in the house. About the second day, a friend of mine sent me some information on Ori. Ori is the mind. Ori is your head. Ori is where all of our purpose is stored. When we're born, this is where it's planted. That's why your head is so protected. The most protected thing on your body is your mind and your head. It's in there. We just have to tap into it. So he said, to stay in the house. She sent me this Ori information, and I began to read this information. And I started to understand. It helped me. The light bulb went off, and I began to understand that the importance of Ori in the cosmology of Ifa, which was explained to me in opposition. It was explained to me that you're supposed to chase other things like the Orishas and Dafas and Ebos versus your own mind. Your own mind is what makes you tick. It's what makes you move. It's what makes you respond. It's what makes people like you or not like you. How they experience you is stored here. What you're supposed to do in life is stored here. That's what the Ori part is in Orieni. So, a little after that, I started getting my act together. The house started clearing. I came out of it. I started doing more meditational things and yoga type stuff. And one day it just hit me like, you got to make this a class, because there's people who will never know this or never understand this because it's not to them that way. It's taught to them in the opposite way. And that's, to me, was just a tragedy. So I said, we got to make this a class. So Orieni, I chose that name because, like I said, Ori is your mind, but the Ini part is your head. So it's one head with the creator. Connection in our tradition. This is your only connection with the creator. You don't need anything in between it but you and
because the head controls the body.
Exactly.
Right? Where the mind is, and we heard it growing up, where the mind is, the body will follow.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. No, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you guys for tuning to the Energy Show. If you just tuned in, we have special guest Baba Makan Juula.
Got it. You got it.
Yes, sharing with us the history of Ifi and then Ori, And so if you guys missed that introduction, please go back and press the replay button and definitely catch up on it, because it is a very much so, would you call it a tradition, or is it more cultural? Because there is a lot of people that are absolutely practicing this system, if you will, but maybe not as prominent as we need to. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? So once you became introduced to Ifa, you started being a part of that system, activating that in your own personal life, and then of course going to the Ori. What was kind of like your perspective? Like, why isn't people doing this, or why don't people know more about this? Because it definitely prompts you to become a coach in this thing, or a teacher or an educator of this, right? So, which is great, you know, everything that we're passionate in, we should be teaching what we're passionate in. But what was kind of like your initial thought, like, I need to be teaching this, or this should be taught? But it had to been like a different type of passion too. Like, maybe did you see people around you that were like lost, or did you have a plethora of friends who was maybe going through the same thing you were going through, and you're like, yo, there could be more people that could be helped if they knew about it, or practice this, or worked on themselves more? Or what were your thoughts? I'm sure I threw a whole bunch of darts at you and some loaded questions.
Yeah, that's like fully loaded clip right there. Hold on.
Like, when is she gonna stop?
I don't know where to go with that one, but yeah, of course. Like, I'm from South Central LA, so it's all around me. The depression is all around you in that environment. It's cleaned up a little bit now, but it's even more depression now because gentrification has taken over your native land. I feel like one of the Native Americans at this point. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was a lot of that. And that was what's kind of sparked, that was my whole interest in Ifa for the most part, because I know that if my people actually got this and use this the right way, it can actually change the way we're living. It can actually change our experience on this planet Earth. For instance, the Haitian Revolution, they used Ifa to get free. The only successful slave revolt on planet Earth.
Yeah.
They used Ifa to get free. It took them 10 years to do it. But the system that set it in play and their action behind what was promised to them got them free. They had that ancestral Orisha deity support with sacrifice to be given to give it the ashe that it needs to take place and defeat every superpower European-wise there were at that time. So you're telling me that in 2022, where we have way less problems than any slave on any plantation, especially in Haiti, because that was the worst place ever to be sent in the slave trade. You're telling me in 2022 that this can't help us? Yes, it will. But the problem why we experience now, people that are followers of Ifa, is that people see it still as voodoo. They see it as taboo voodoo, which our grandmothers did, our great grandmothers did. On the plantation, we did, which on the plantation, the masters always went and sought these people out to help them when their family needed help, because they knew and the healing practices that they had that came from the tradition that we brought to this country. So, can it help people? Absolutely. People just have to look at it with different contact lenses and take their colonial sunglasses off and see it for what it truly is, and take this stigma of voodoo off. It helped me. I know it's helped many other people, and it only can help you though if you're willing to be helped. That's why the Ori is so important. Like if your Ori is blocked by trash, by old stigmas, by old ways of living, by your past, by your upbringing, by old religious constructs that don't work, like if everything is blocking you in your head, then nothing can help you anyway. But the more you get into Ifa has a way of shaking things up and clearing it out, so that you can face. Just like I told you, when I got initiated, I got divorced, I lost the house. I had to All the stress that I was dealing with that marriage, it had to go so that I can sit still and then open up to be able to receive what I need to be doing now.
So let me ask you, because look, again, I've got a diverse audience here. People who've never heard of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love this. I love this conversation. You and I have had number of conversations offline. I love them. But I am also a researcher at heart, right? I'm kind of like my own historian. Have held the position and roles as a historian through a lot of different facets. So for some who's tuning in tonight, this may just be mere information and history that they're catching up on and not aware of how this practice has been built so much into our culture. We just have not been aware of it. But there's going to be some people who are going to tune in and say, gee, I enjoyed your guest, but is there a way? I enjoyed your guest, but I can say my life went identical to his, and I wasn't a part of the E5 system or the Ori. The question is, can you still process the way you processed and not be a part of the E5 system and or the Ori?
Anybody can. Can you be rich without practicing any religious? Yeah, you can do anything you want to do. But the thing of it is, though, see, from where I came from and anybody who came along the same lines, you experience a lot of trauma in your life. And a lot of trauma makes you make bad decisions. You're not illogical, you're more emotional. You're more blaming of other people than you are blaming or looking at yourself. That's what I see the majority, 99% of the people that I've seen, that's what they do. It's what I was doing at the time. So until you get humbled, you're not able to do that. And can anybody do it without E5? Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely. If you're that strong, if you're able to just say, hey, walk in your house and say, hey, this marriage, you know what? It ain't working no more. I'm leaving tomorrow. You know what? This house, I'm just going to let it go and walk away. I'm just going to go homeless. I'm just going to go move into my auntie's house and just go do it just because I want to. Like, who does that? Not really. Nobody, right? So
I know a few.
Like, I wasn't willing to do it at the time. I was trying to hold on to the marriage and hold on to the house and be stressed out every day because of what I thought was supposed to be for me. Deities know better than you do. But your mind, again, going back to the Sori thing, your mind is where they tap into. So they have to put your mind through these tests to see where you're going to respond. But you're not going to normally choose that stress yourself. You're not going to put yourself, most people are trying to save themselves from problems. They do everything they can not to be in the problem if they can prevent it. Spirituality doesn't care what you want. They're just going to do it, and you have to respond accordingly. So, can anybody do it? To answer your question, if they're that strong, yes, absolutely they can. But for the most part, I know a couple of people that's very strong in certain areas. In certain areas, they're not, because nobody's 100% strong in every area of their life.
Right.
If I was going to put your inner tube, I used to change a lot of bikes tires when I was little on bikes. So when you get a flat tire, you got to put that tire into the water and see where the bubbles are bubbling, and that's where the hole is. Right? So Ifa is always going to put you in that water so they can see where you are, where you're weak at and where you're strong at. And then they're gonna press on the thing you need to get stronger with. Most people don't want to run to that hole. They're gonna run from the hole.
Yeah, unless they just say, you know what, I know these trials and tribulations are gonna come and I just gotta endure them. And then it's just up to if you have such a strong support system, right? And the support system could be whatever, community, family, work environment. It was funny. I actually was listening to an audiobook the other day, and it was saying that people are less likely to leave their job if, for those people who are still working, for someone, they're less likely to leave if the environment was inviting and supportive and encouraging versus to, all of the heaviness that comes with going and being beat down because you didn't meet deadlines and you didn't complete this project correctly or whatever. So, different people, and I'm just being objective, right? So I just want to make sure, for those who have those questions, because again, we have a very diverse audience, and there's going to be some people that I'm sure my emails will be, but we want to make sure we're being clear to the audience and that this is still an option for individuals to seek after, right, as it relates to their growth. And like you said, you didn't really want to, you was trying to hold on to your stuff. So you had to be shaken up. So you was a little hard headed.
Wasn't hard headed, but it was watch this. I'm gonna put it this way. Like my old dude that I got initiated under said, I can't leave my wife. Under any circumstances, I can't leave her. So even though I was in that, I couldn't leave her. Only way it could break up is if she left. So the foundation of it shook. She couldn't take it, and she left. You see what I'm saying? Like, right. If I knew what was necessary for me to do, so we had to do what it was necessary to be done to make this thing happen.
Right. No, I'm enjoying you sharing this information because all things are a process, and I'm enjoying you sharing with our audience that there's always a process. There's never a jumping into something and immediately getting to the expected end. There will be a process, and you have to go through the process. And I really appreciate you for being transparent on tonight and sharing that and being vulnerable and letting people understand what EFI is, what ORI is, but also knowing that there is a process like anything else that you're going to have to go through, period. So I appreciate that. No, I mean, I really do appreciate that. So within your practice, so you started being an ORI coach, an Oriente, and then you're an ORI coach.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you are, with all that you've learned and all that because you're teaching this already today. You're holding classes, and people are attending these different events and attending the classes and going through the training courses and all that. And so you all are providing this balance for people. So when you're introducing it, what are some people's initial reaction as you are sharing with them what they're about to experience or go through? Is that possible to share? Or
yeah, I mean, that's simple. It's an amazing reaction, but it was kind of the same reaction that I had at one time. For instance, I was coaching one person, and they're married, and they have a communicational barrier, and to me, it was just a level of understanding that wasn't there. So in EFA, we have character traits that we're supposed to follow. We have 8 positive ones and 8 negative ones we should stay away from at all times. So these people were really interested in being in EFA, but they were having trouble in marriage. When I asked her, I think I asked both of them, but when I asked them what is their definition of understanding, they gave me the Webster's version. I said, look, that's why your marriage is not having any understanding, because that's not what it is. Most people think understanding is that I heard you. That's kind of it. Like, I heard you. What else do you want me to do besides listen? Like, they hear it, but they're not digging deeper to listen to it. So I had to explain to her. I said, see, in EFA, we have an understanding trait of the 8 positive ones that we have. And what that means in EFA is that you don't just sit there and listen to somebody. If you see your loved one reacting, first of all, you got to understand nobody just does anything for no reason. It's coming from somewhere. Yeah. Unless you married a crazy person, then that's on you at that point. But for the most part, you got to understand that they're doing this for a reason. So what understanding means, listen to what it says. You got to go deeper to stand up in it. Right? So you need to investigate. Babe, where did that come from for you? How did you get to this point? What happened to you in your childhood? What happened to you in the past relationship or whatever that may have scarred you, that has you feeling this way to react to me in this way. It has to be something. Let's talk about it. Let's be transparent enough to open up and understand each other. That way, I can not only be empathetic, I can kind of help with the process of healing. But I can't help with the process of healing if we're in clash mode with no understanding.
Right. Right.
That totally changed the trajectory of their marriage. That one little piece.
Right.
So it's a lot of people who come into our ORE coaching with the, I'll say, colonial ways of viewing things, right? But you can't stand toe to toe or apples to apples with tradition. I'm not even going to just say Ifa, but traditional spiritual understandings of things versus the colonial ways you've learned under the slave quarters of the United States. They don't go together. You can't. You're not going to be able to hybrid the situation. You're going to have to either choose one or the other one. And that's why that system was attacked during slavery. That's why they kept that from you, because they knew if you had it, you would be powerful again. At some point, you're not going to stay a slave.
I love it. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. No, I love it. And we have these, like I said, off-camera conversations. So I love that, because you're helping the people gain knowledge. I mean, I have to, and I keep saying it, but I have to just be transparent with you. There are going to be people who are like, I ain't never heard this before. And to know that, so he said, I know, and so with that, thank you for sharing that, generally the acceptance of what they're going to experience is positive. And to your point, it's more of helping rewire the mindset of what they had prior to coming into contact with you for meeting the need that you're going to help them meet. But it's literally a rewiring of the mind, right? You're helping shift that mindset. Yeah. Okay.
You have to. It's not going to work any other way. You just cannot do it. You just cannot do it.
So what is your response to people who are just opposed to doing the work? Because let's be real, people, they want you to fix things externally, but they do not want you to get into the internal. But that is where the real work, that's where it happens. Yeah. So what is generally your response to people who will immediately reject knowing that they've got to do some rewiring of the mindset?
I didn't understand this before, but I do understand it now doing this work, that when in Ifa, they don't believe in soliciting work from people. You're just not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to try to make someone see it. They have to want it on their own. Hard work is not something you can solicit. Somebody said, hey, hard work over here. Come sign up for this job. Like, nobody's going for that. They're not looking for that. But when you get there, you might figure it out if it's hard or not, right? But it's not really something that we do. So when I come across people like that, my response to it is really no response. It's not my situation. I can only help you if you want to be helped. I can only show you this information if you want to see it. But if you don't want to see it and you don't want to do it, then there's nothing that I can do. I'm not here to fight with you and battle with you. It's not my battle. It's between you and the God that brought you here.
Right. No, I love it. I just think that it's all amazing, because we are in a time to where, and again, brother, I can be totally transparent with you, but we're in a place where everybody's conscious. They want to be conscious, and they, got this information and that information, and they feel like I can do the work on my own. I can, and so therefore, our community may not be seeking after the counseling and the coaching that they need to be healed from whatever trauma, you mentioned the word trauma, that has plagued maybe their, future or current, present, right? People are trying to figure out maybe why they're at a standstill, why they haven't propelled forward in different areas. And, what would you say is a reason why a lot of people just really aren't seeking, the counseling or the coaching or the therapeutic services, because there's many of us out here that's doing the work, but people aren't running to people like me and you like they run to the liquor store or the restaurant to emotionally eat away their pain, or to the club still, or to buy the latest, you know, outfit, you know, shoes, lashes, wigs, hair, you know, makeup, whatever. I mean, we'll spend thousands of dollars to make sure we look like we're good when we're really hurting on the inside. Those of us who are doing the work, we really have this passion for a reason. So what would you say, what do you think the reason why people just aren't running to getting counseled or getting coached or going to therapy when we're out here, we're available, we're doing it, but they're not running to us. They're running to, you know, what's going to cover it up and not be vulnerable and show it.
I mean, I associate that with a person that needs to lose weight, but having to look in the mirror every day. Are they ever going to look in the mirror? Probably not. Because they would expose that they need to lose weight, right? So doing the work that I've been doing, I've seen all of that. I've seen people actually get it. Like every class I have, usually we have like 3 series of classes. In each class, there's six courses in the class. By the 3rd or 4th class, of course, they begin to open up a little more. But in the beginning, they're really reserved. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to share anything. They don't want to even talk. Listen. But what I got from that is that people just don't trust other, or especially our people, don't trust other people, particularly our own people. But it's rightfully so. It just takes the understanding of a coach to understand that concept. Like, it's not just that they don't want to. We've been conditioned to be tough. We've been conditioned to just endure the pain. Come on, you endured 250 years of slavery with no complaints, came out of it with construction, with Jim Crow, with no complaints. You marched in the 60s with no complaints, and you've just been taught to endure the pain and suffering that you have experienced. It's in our DNA to endure it. It hasn't been taught. So I can't blame people for what they don't know. Mm-hmm. All I can keep doing is just keep raising my hand like, hey, it's over here. I'm not going to call you though, but it's over here. Like, all I can do is keep offering it to you. It's up to you still. And that's between them and their God, to put them in a position to need it and desire it and want it. That's not for me to make you see.
Yeah. You know, I kind of think of it like when you're preparing for a vacation, right? You know, you look at all that you got, and then you realize, oh, I need to go to the store and grab this. I might want to grab that. I might need this. I might need that. You know, it's like, we don't do that going into a marriage, or we don't do that to ensure that we're head in the right direction for the next career path, or we don't do that to ensure that we're on the right path from a parental perspective. People are quick to say, I don't want to be nothing like my mom. I don't want to be nothing like my daddy. But are you doing the work to ensure that you don't turn out to be, you know, Mr. Jimmy, you know, or Miss Irene, you know, or whatever, right? It's, to me, I look at it like, get ready for vacation. And so if it takes you a couple of trips to the shopping mall, take you a couple of trips to go see your counselor. But then too, you know, you said something, all you could do is say, hey, I'm over here. Maybe I think a lot of us are not making ourselves known. Now, when you get onto the internet, you can Google all day and Google different therapists, counselors, coaches of any sort in your area, and it'll pop up. Why? Because you got to be registered to do it, right? You Google them all day, they're available, but you don't see them really in the community. You don't really hear about it. So another facet, sometimes what I've found is people aren't taking advantage of the resources because they really don't know that it's available. Like, you see a supermarket on the corner, you know, I don't know if that's right or wrong, good or bad, but
it's definitely wrong. There's definitely a liquor store in the corner, though.
Sure is. Sure is. Well, listen, let us transition really quickly. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come right back with some more.
www.energy.com.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Inner Chi Show. I am your host, Chi Smith. Listen, this is a special edition. We are generally here on Tuesday nights, but we are here Thursday night. And listen, if you've been on this wave with us, thank you so much for writing. But we're getting ready to go just a little bit deeper into some love and happiness. So let's talk about it. Baba, you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. So before we went to break, we covered a lot of ground, and that was intentional. So Thank you so much for being transparent, because that was all intentional. Because people need to understand, they need to know, right? We're all here about clarity, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and so I feel that I say this all the time: people reject what they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay.
So we say that a lot here on the show. I say it even on my personal page. People reject what they don't understand. And you just said it. You got to go deeper to stand up. So if my audience hears this information somewhere else, they won't be so maybe quick to reject it or speak on it or cast it down or whatever, right? Maybe they can just understand it and still maybe walk in love, whether they choose to embrace it, become a part of it, or what have you, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing that I really want to discuss, I want to jump into it. And you have so much love in your heart. Brother, you got so much love in your heart. I'm so serious. I mean, even when you talk about, even earlier when you were talking about marriage and whatever, there was still a glow about you. So for those who just tuned in, you shared with the audience that you were once married. Mm-hmm. You are currently now divorced, mm-hmm. but you do a lot of coaching with married couples and or couples in general. Mm-hmm. And you help them understand themselves as well as understand each other. Mm-hmm. And so you gave us a little, brief preview. But what makes you still love? What makes you want to do the work to really ensure that people operate in love and they exercise that one to another? Because if I'm not mistaken, you just had a class this past Saturday on love and happiness as well too, and it was for singles. Mm-hmm. And so for those people who are operating in their singleness, whether they've never been married, got a divorce, they're looking to be married again because they love and they know that they're meant to, be in a union with someone and provide that love. Why are you so passionate about it, and what makes you continue to ensure that people understand what love and happiness truly means to sustain a relationship?
That's another loaded one. Well, in Ifa is a very communal practice. It's not a solitary practice. In Ifa, we have an array called spouse, right? You're supposed to have, array means blessings of spouse. Ifa believes that no one should be without a spouse. Actually, Ifa believes that if you don't have a spouse, you have a sickness. See, the community begins, there's no community without a spouse or married couples. That's how it begins. The first community is the first two people that's married, they create children. Then the first community you learn is within your household. Then that household becomes a part of the greater community within your square block radius. And then the other community becomes a city, then the city becomes state, and then you got a country, right? So if you don't have a nucleus of two people coming together to procreate, then what are you doing? When you look at the aspects of our existence now, we've totally turned our back from that concept. Now it's above 70% people is not married. kids growing up in some single households, we've turned away from that, and we're at the bottom. Something needs to be flipped around and brought back to its essence. That's why I said in the beginning, you can't have colonialism merged in with spirituality that we used to do back in the days and come together with it. It's not going to work. It's not working. So for me, I'm passionate about it because I understand that concept. I get it. I understand that you can't have a community, and you can't have a community with ethics and moral and character in it the way that we're going. I have children I have a son that's 25. I don't know who my son's going to marry. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation based upon what's out there now. That's a very scary concept. And if you have little children now, just think 5, 10, 20 years from now when they're going to be married, what is it going to look like? Our job as people on this planet is to leave it in a better place than we found it. And if we're not doing that, we're selfish. So for me, that's why I'm passionate. I understand that relationships, marriages in general, are the foundation to the community. Healthy ones. Let me say it that way. Healthy ones. Healthy, functional relationships are the foundation of a great community. That's why I'm passionate about it, because if we don't do that, then my children, their children, we're leaving a legacy behind that's just going to destroy everything that God has made here.
So you mentioned, and thank you so much for that. You mentioned a few moments ago that Ephi says if you're not married, then you have a sickness. I like to ask you, for those individuals who are single and either proclaim that they'll never be married, or they're just happy with being this single life or single person. I don't know, because I'm not single. I've been out of the dating game for a number of years. So
cocking it up again, loading the bullets up again. Right.
I've been out the game a long time, and I don't want to know what's out there. I don't want to know. But to your point, I got babies. So, but I will say, thankfully, with my husband and I being able to share, what it's to look like, and what it also looks like to work through different things. We are very much so confident that our children will mimic that same thing, that they will have a desire to have a mate, and they will build and create that nuclear family. And to your point, expound upon that from a communal perspective, and then so on and so forth. But let's be real. Let's talk to the folk who are single and ready to mingle, but ain't ready to create that union.
What was the question again?
So the question is, I mean, what do you say to the individuals who are single today and are like, I'm gonna be single forever? Like this what it is. This is what it's gonna be.
I'm gonna tell them you need to face your trauma and stop running. That's all I'm gonna say. Ain't nobody in their right mind that's healthy in their mind want to be single. Like that's just. I mean, want to just live that life. Like, no, you're scarred by something.
Ooh.
Something hurts you that makes you make that decision, and you don't want to face it. So singleness seems more the better option at this point. No.
Ooh.
No.
So you say, look, again, I've been out the game, so I'm in character mode right now. So you're saying people who got 4 or 5 on the side, man or woman,
it's sick.
Not trying to lock down anybody, got some issues they need to be working through.
I'm not sure if you want to answer that question, but
I'm not coming to the Energy Show ever again.
Are they sick? I mean, that's a sickness, man. Like that is just a sickness. That is an immaturity sickness. That is a mental block sickness. There's nothing good that comes from that. And then those who wound up having babies out of wedlock and then stressed out with child support and visitations and all that stuff, then you begin to see that this is not a good idea. Like come on, it's nothing comes from that. That is not the foundation, like of what I said previously, of a great community building. It just ain't. It's nothing going to come good from that. You've heard too many Snoop Dogg's and Sugar Free albums or something. You've been too entrenched into the ghetto-ness and the PTHDs of the world. You've been caught up in that too long. That's a trauma, because nobody in their right mind wants to just sleep with somebody you've never met. You're exchanging energy with sex with a person who's carrying DNA baggage from this life, past lives, and their mom and daddy's life that you're connecting with in a one night stand, never to see him again. What?
I mean, they may see him again. They're just number 3 on the call log, and then they keep him around for about 5 years.
See, again, this country is over sexualized, and again, I blame it on a lot of the propaganda that has been sold through TV and media and music. It's too much sex everywhere. It's not that deep, y'all. Let me tell you that it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Sex is supposed to be a tool we use for pleasure. Also, don't get it twisted, but it's there to do something, create. Period. Okay, so for you to just have someone on the side that you can have sex with whenever you want to, if you're not making, and it's so, I mean, that's called polygamy too. Let's just keep it a buck with that. It's called polygamy, poly, whatever you want to call it. It's called those too, but those things are created to create something out of the relationships that are in that system. It's not just for sex. You're not going to have a polygamous situation where you're having a one night stand or you call them whenever you need them. No, they're there to do something. That's a part of a bigger thing than everybody involved. But that concept of just having some pieces on the side, like, come on, man, that's just called immaturity. It's called destruction. It's called any negative connotation you want to add to it, just throw it into the pot. That's never going to help anything. It's only going to increase more children growing up in households without two parents in it. If that product from the 80s didn't show you how bad of an idea that is, what more do I need to say? Like, what else are you trying to make this worse than what we've already got? Because we already seen what it does.
Wow. Okay. I like that. That's cool. Look, guys, if you just tuned in, welcome to the Energy Show. Listen, I told y'all days out, we going deeper. Okay, this was a special edition on tonight, and it is special for a reason. Listen,
like you planned this situation. You planned this situation. I feel like I got the infrared on me right now. But go ahead.
No, because we have very much so, again, authentic off-camera conversations, and I knew I had to have you on here as we are building as well, right? And I I really wanted people to understand, because I'm an advocate of love as well. I love love. I operate in love. As much rejection as I do get personally, even to this day, I'm just an advocate of that. But definitely, from a family perspective, when you're building a family, when you're building a unit, it's also breaks my heart when I don't see a nuclear family, or when I see that people give up easily on relationships, just because of a personality issue, right? And then you leave the babies, with a wound that they got to try to heal from, later on in life, if at all, right? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it turns into an addiction of whatever, so on and so forth. And so when I heard you really talk about doing the work, and when I saw you were doing the work and you were actually having classes, and guys, make sure you go to our guests' wonderful social media handles and send them an email if you have any questions about anything. But definitely, the courses that you were having with love and happiness. And I said, well, what better way during Love Month to have you on, as well as talk to our people We had a guest last week talking about love as well and the relationships. And it's we are having more. I am seeing in different settings that I'm a part of, different conversations about family and ensuring that the family stays together and ways to do it. And to your point, understand this over here, that over there. Okay, but what can we do here and maintain and lock it and keep it? That's the work that we do too within my practice, right? Is help our couples. We do a lot of premarital counseling. We do a lot of marital counseling. We do, for those who have chosen to go their separate ways, we do what we call divorce care, right? Because that's a ripping away. You just ripped a relationship apart, and people generally don't know how to mend that together if they've chosen to go their opposite way. How can you still remain whole and in a holistic manner, be your whole self, even though you may have chosen to go different paths? And so I knew I really had to have you on here during this month and next month and months after or whatever to talk about it. But we have again a vast audience of individuals who are singles. And we also have a vast audience of people who've been married. Maybe they've been married and divorced only one time, and looking to marry again, or people who just got out of a divorce. Again, this audience is so vast, which is why I love being here every week and serving the people. But again, when I saw the work that you were doing and how you were coaching those who've been married before, those who are looking to be married, or just understanding their singleness, what does love and happiness really mean to an individual? Because the unfortunate part is when you're doing the work and when you're coaching your individuals, they don't even know what love is.
Nope, not at all. They know that technically love is not enough. Love is the key to bring you together, but love is not going to keep you there. Only a plan does that. A purpose does that. A purpose does that. Let me say that again louder. A purpose keeps people together. Love will bring you there, but if it doesn't have a purpose, it's doomed to fail. I hope that makes sense.
Does to me. That does to me. But can you break that down a little bit for the viewers? Because they're like, you mean to me I gotta have a plan? Like I gotta have a vision board for this relationship?
Put it this way. You know why people can stay at a job they hate for 40 years versus stay in a relationship that they don't like for 40 years? They don't see a purpose in that relationship, but the job pays the mortgage, pays the bills, it feeds the kids. They have a thing they're saving money for that they want to buy. They have a purpose for it. So they will endure that because it has a reason for enduring it. If you love somebody, that's an emotion that will change with the wind. If you pissed off, you're not feeling love with your spouse at that moment. But when you're happy, the love comes back. But if you don't have something to anchor you in that relationship, like purpose, what are we doing here? Are we here because we both look together good? We both know how to cook? We have great sex? Like, what is our purpose of being together? What did God bring us together to build? Mm-hmm. It's not about just having children and going to soccer practice on Saturday mornings. That ain't what you're just here for. What are you designed together to build? Once you conclude on what that thing is, now you will have more motivation, even when you're not in love at the moments with that person, to keep going. That's why you can stay at a job that you hate for so long, but leave a husband you only been with for 2 years because you can't stand it in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So purpose of the relationship to me is the most important part. Love is important. Don't get me wrong. The feeling, the emotional feeling is what brings you into this attractive element of it. But then when you get past that love thing and that ether starts to wear off and you're left with just what's there, most people want to run because they don't know why they got with them. besides that feeling? What do you do that brings to the table, or what can complement what somebody else do, and likewise? That's how you know if you even are a match. But if I work at the post office and you're an artist, what are we building? We just working to pay bills. Like that's nothing being built. But if I'm an artist and I'm a singer and you have a band that's awesome, we're peaches in her. We ain't going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? We have a purpose to be here. People are not really looking for a purpose, so love seems to be the pacifier.
So you're saying people are not looking for that common denominator, you know, that nucleus, right? That bonds in. Yeah, okay. Y'all hear that? I hope y'all taking notes. There's some gems being dropped tonight. No, that's really good. It's funny that you mentioned that, because when I met my husband, there was a commonality that we shared that really bonded us, and then, well, a plethora of other things too. Some foundational things that just made sense, right? And we had some of the same perspectives and same views on things, and that made it easy. You know, it made it easy. Man, but you know, would you agree? Some people are just too surface level with.
Hey, that's why in most countries like India, African countries, like for instance, India has a divorce rate of less than 1%. A lot of those weddings are fixed.
Yes.
That's because the parents have the wisdom enough to know what's good for their child. And this other person fits into that fold. You're not just marrying because you met somebody in the club, they look good, they smell good, they have money, they have this. That's not reasoning. Most societies that understand that their divorce rates are minimal. United States doesn't understand that concept. They're surface level in this country. That's why it doesn't work.
What my grandmother said. My grandmother told me at 20 something, baby, you ain't gonna look like that always. You better get you somebody that's gonna love you for your heart, your mind,
and your purpose. Men too, like men ain't gonna look the same all the way. You're not gonna always be muscular. You're not gonna always be able to give it to her every night like she would want it. That's why they make Viagra, because they know that people are gonna go down at some point, right? That's why it's popular. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. Like this stuff doesn't last forever. You can have money, but you cannot have money tomorrow. You can be in a nice house and be in an apartment tomorrow. That stuff doesn't last. What lasts is that person's character and who they are and how you guys' character match. That's what lasts.
That's right. That's right. Now I'm with you. The late great Dick Gregory, I was watching one of his older interviews. And we all know he's a hoot anyway, but he said something. Somebody asked him about his beautiful queen, and he was like, basically, he did not give the answer that they were looking for, but what he expounded on was, we have something. He kept saying that, but we have something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't talk about, how beautiful he didn't talk about any beautifications. He didn't talk about anything. He said, we have something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was years ago that I heard that interview, but it still sticks with me today, because in him not saying in particular what that meant, he was saying a whole bunch of people were just in tune with
what he was saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
was at a wedding like 4 or 5 months ago. Not a wedding, a birthday party that was thrown by this guy's wife. And when she came up and gave her explanation of how much she loves him, that whole thing, and why she loves him, that lady named nothing about his character. She named everything about what he does, what he's done for her financially, blah, 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 blah. I was like, this is sad. Like, she named nothing about who this man truly was to his core. And nobody caught that, including his mother. This is the society we live in. So I'm like, the mother is sitting, she's like 2 seats away from me. I'm looking at this like, no one's seeing this but me.
And the husband was just what, giggling?
He's just giggling, happy, like my baby loves me, and they walking around like everything is all. I'm like, well, hey, if that works for you, buddy. I mean, they've been married for a while, like 20 years. Maybe that works for them. I don't know. But for me, no. I need you to understand me. I have a purpose, and it's not just for just this frivolous thing you may want to see happen. Like, no.
Right. No. Well, and you said said something earlier in this show. It's you got to know the purpose. You got to know who you are. A lot of people jump into stuff and they don't even know who they are. They may find themselves out in the relationship later. And depending on how strong the individuals are, they can work through it or not. But it is apparent that we have to do the work so we can understand ourselves, so that we can have those mature conversations. Because let's be real, clearly this couple here, bless them and pray multitude of years upon them.
God bless them.
But it sounds like there were 2 different purposes going into this thing. And I'm only saying that because there are a lot of men and women who may feel like, well, I'm okay with someone saying that in a setting such as my wedding or ceremony or event or whatever. It's because maybe that's what I feel like I only offer.
That's sad. And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
See, again, we're in a society of people who don't know their own purpose. Purpose is not something that people seek in this society that we live in. You're not taught, you're not raised, at least I wasn't, and the majority of people that I know, they weren't raised to say, hey, what's your purpose? You know that movie? It's a movie called, what is it called? Coach Carter.
Yeah.
One of my friends played in that movie. My friend's father played one of the coaches in that movie. And he kept asking this one guy, what is your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear? And he kept, why you keep asking me that? But what he's really asking him is that, what is your purpose? Why are you on this team? What can you do for this team to make this team successful? And that's not what we're taught in this society. We're not taught to find our purpose. We're taught to do things that make sense to other people. Get a degree that makes sense to other people, that will put me in a light that say that I've made it in this society. But we're not taught to do what gives us the chills. To know why God made you. Why you, out of 1 million sperm cells to get to that egg? Why are you the born winner? What did you do to get to this point? And there had to be a purpose for you to come here. But that purpose is never sought after in this society. So 2 people without knowing what purpose is are not going to look for a purpose in their marriage. They're going to look for a opposite or a match, rather, to the things that they've been chasing. And if that works, tell me why we at above 50% divorce rates, where other countries who don't have half the resources at less than 1%.
Oh, and especially our culture. I mean, our culture is skyrocketing in numbers, and we're not even at a 50%, a third of the whole population period, and our numbers are skyrocketing like crazy in a number of categories. And
I hate to say this in public forums too, because I hate to hear other people to hear our problems. And I hate that stuff though. They already know our stats, but
they know.
For us to be just saying it over, it's like sometimes it becomes monotonous, but it's the reality though. And this is one of the reasons why I do EFA, because it's all about your purpose. It's not about what you can give something else, like other things I've been in. Like, it's not about that exterior thing. It's about you figuring out you. That way, once you figure out you can actually have that array, as I said previously, of a spouse. EFA literally says that if a person is not prepared for the position, they should not take the job. If you're not prepared to be a spouse, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, Notice how financially is not mentioned in that equation. If you're not in that position, you're not qualified to be with somebody else's daughter or son.
Okay, so let me throw a monkey wrench in here. What about the people who just don't desire a mate?
Well, I would be challenged to know what their purpose is. You have genitals. They are done to function in a certain way. They're made for a certain purpose. If you didn't procreate with them, you are slapping God in the face. Period. It's bigger than you, bro. You're not our sister. It's not about you. It's bigger than you. You didn't make your genitals. Something else did. But then why did they make it then?
That's so funny. Look, we got a tune sincere Nubian speak. So we got
So
thank you, Queen.
What's she say?
Speak. Tell the truth over here.
I mean, people think they're bigger than everything around them. Like, no, man, all you gotta do is go to the beach and look at the ocean. You know you had nothing to do with this. Like, you didn't make this.
Right.
You didn't make you. You
That's
were just born. So again, why did whoever created you, what did they make those pieces for? Did they make it for you to be selfish with? I don't think so. There's no other creature on the planet does it.
I love me though. I love me. I can love me better than anybody else. I know all the spots.
That's TMI, by the way, but okay.
Hey, no, I'm saying what the people be saying. That ain't what I say. That's what people,
Oh, okay.
Because I've been locked down for a long time. I told my husband that just the other day. I said, bro, man, okay. We got some numbers under our belt. Jeez. And I don't even look that old. Look at that. But for real, no, that's real talk, and to your point, a lot of that is pompous sometimes, and hey, I'm this, I'm that, I don't need that, I'll get that if I want that because I can have that whenever I want to, but never in a mindset of creating that union with someone to build, and and some people may be self-conscious, and not have that confidence within themselves to know that they can be that powerful king, that powerful queen in a relationship. You just spoke about, it's not cool to have, offsprings all over the. Go ahead.
I need to debunk this whole queen and king thing. Like, I'm really so tired of hearing this king and queen. Like, I know some people are going to
Are we doing this? Are we doing this right now? Are we doing this?
About to do it, man. Since you got a cock loaded one, I got a cock loaded one. Let's release my book real quick. So,
he just spun the show around, y'all.
I'm just so sick of this queen and king thing. Listen, everybody is not going to be a king and queen. You're just not. Okay? It's not reality. I don't care how black and African you think you are. Like, there was not a bunch of Africans walking around with gold on and kings and queens throughout African continents. It's just not reality. Kings have to have people that they rule. Period. You have three types of people on planet Earth. People who make stuff happen, people who help the people who make the stuff happen, and then you have people they call fans that sit in the stands and clap and wave their hands when you make a shot or a field goal. Like, the people who stand on the sideline who watch other things happen. Those are three people. The bottom two are not kings and queens because they pay mortgage of the house. King and queen come with a way bigger responsibility.
So do you think we're using that to help build up the individual? Because I'm only asking that because I heard a public figure that's highly respected in our community that was challenged the same way. It was like, yo, man, why are you calling them kings and queens? They're not acting like kings and queens. You know, I would never put that type of title on those type of individuals. And that particular figure said, you know what, I see them as that, and I want them to see them own selves as that. Now, whether they ever become king or queen status, that remains to be unknown. But in the meantime, let me not belittle them where they are. Let me try to speak some type of life into them, help them understand that they do come from power, so that they can start from some type of foundation. If they saw themselves as a potential king or queen, maybe they would conduct themselves in a different manner. And so that was a response from that particular public figure as it relates. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. But I do it. I'm not gonna lie. I do it. And a lot of it is what I just even mentioned. Like it, you know, when I heard that public figure say that, I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I do that in that retrospect too, you know, to help build people. And I mean, but I use brother, sister, all that because and again, I see that a lot in our community because we are in a place where we're trying to build back our community. And so if we make people feel like they are a part of us instead of exiled from us, because we've done that for a number of years, then like, if I can make you feel like you're my brother, if I make you feel like you're my sister, if I make you feel like, you know, you're powerful, maybe you'll walk in that statue, you know what I'm saying? Because life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I want to speak life into you and make you feel powerful, even if you don't feel powerful, so that, because maybe nobody has ever even called you king before. Maybe nobody's ever even called you queen before. You know what I'm saying? You've been called other names other than that. So I want you to feel like you are great. And I'm saying, I believe that's why our community is doing that so much. I mean, I do it. I'm not gonna lie. I do it. You know,
I'm not gonna say I never said it, but I say it very sparingly. I'm not gonna just put it out there like some blanket post or something. We're all African kings and queens. No, you're never gonna see me say that. But African kings and queens, I'm not gonna say African, just kings and queens in general are different. You don't just walk up on what's the queen's name in England? Elizabeth, what's her name?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Queen you don't Elizabeth. Just walk up on the forest lawn and just be like, "Hey, I'm here to see everyone. I'm a part of the situation here. I'm from London too." Like, you just don't do that. When you watch Coming to America, King Joffrey, you didn't just walk into his compound and just be amongst Akeem and them. Like, it comes with a different thing. The only people who understand that are the people under that lineage. Their power force is coming. A prince, a princess. But the people that they rule are not on the same page. So I'm just not into like this falsehood of selling people on something that's not reality. We've been lied to enough. I won't get into other things that we've been lied to about, but we've been lied to enough. How about just calling them by their name? And hey, why don't you figure out what your position is in the society? That's what I try to do. I try to help you to figure out what it is that you are good at. But you may not have a castle at some point, but you may have a nice house. You may not own a business, but you may be able to take care of you and your family well in life if you know what you're supposed to do in this lifetime without stress, without all of that drama, with passion and understanding. Understanding again. Here goes that word again. Passion and understanding. But that's just how I am. I don't think that the terminology of calling someone queen that don't even understand who they are is going to wake them up. They need to understand who they are to be able to even receive that.
No, I'm with you, but it's off topic, but it's also on topic because, you know, we're talking about love and happiness. And so I'll say this, and we can definitely move forward. You know, one of our wonderful queens, and I'm gonna call her queen because we say that a lot to one to another, and she is. I mean, look, you know, it's just and to each his own, you know. But can you replace it with reflection? And so what that means is, you know, what I see in you is what I see in myself, and what I see in myself, I see it in you. And you're right. look, I don't say it to everybody, but I do use it. And I generally use that when I see the power in that individual and maybe they haven't tapped into it yet. But I know as long as we stay connected, because they could be giving me something as well as I'm giving them something, there could be an energy exchange there, right? And we know that. And so a lot of times it's that as well too. So, but no, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. I just, hey, looks like we're using it in multifaceted, multi-purpose reasons here in the community. So I get it. Awesome. So let me ask you, do you have any upcoming love and happiness events? To let us know what do you have coming up as we are landing this plane. This has been good. We're going to have to do a part 2 if you are available. You are a busy man, but I do believe that more of the love and happiness conversation has to go forward. Because you're doing some major work in the community. You are helping a lot of relationships. You're helping a lot of individuals, and you're helping them with self first, whether they're already in a relationship or if they desire to get into one. But you said a very powerful word, and that's purpose. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are a union at the now or will be, you have to understand your purpose. And I love that. And I really appreciate you sharing that with the audience. So definitely they see where they can get a hold of you, but definitely let the people know, what do you have? What does Orieni have coming that the people need to know about so they can attend some events and get registered?
Number one, I'm doing a very powerful presentation called Ori Decoded on the 22nd. They can go to my website, oriene.com, and they can check that out and get tickets for that if they want. The next one is going to be one I'm going to be doing March 6th called IFA Singles Meet. Now, of course, this one is not for everybody, so I don't know. But this is for people who are in IFA that are single, that want to meet other singles. So I started this page about 8 months or so ago, and it just ballooned real fast, like out of the blue. So I guess it's a whole lot of people in IFA that's single that needs help, just like I did. But so we're going to be doing that on March 6th, coming together, having some spreading some love and some laughs and some learning about what it looks like to even be, like I said, qualified for the position of a mate, whichever side of the fence you're on. Let me be clear when I say I gotta qualify these things now. When I say side of the fence, I mean as a wife or a husband. So that's on the 6th. You know why I'm just saying.
Yep.
but,
I love it.
But that's on March 6th. And then we have many classes that we do. We have different memberships. It depends on how far you want to go down a rabbit hole with us. We have memberships that will give you the re-coaching you may be seeking. If you want to get more understanding of IFA in general, those coaching packages help. We have different classes that's going to be coming up again in this new cycle. We have a sewing class, a sprout class, and a bloom class that teaches you how to sow your past, sprout your future, and bloom by nurturing what you've sown and sprouted. With all done based upon IFA principles and teachings. Now, I don't want to make it sound so esoteric that IFA teachings are so far-fetched to other people, because they're universal concepts, technically. So anybody can come in and learn these concepts and apply them into their life in real time.
That's good.
So you don't have to be an IFA person to actually do it. I know a lot of pastors that are pastors of church right now that's in IFA. They still do the church thing. They just do IFA too.
Right. Man, I love that. Okay. All right. Y'all, I hope y'all are getting these gems. Listen, and absolutely always on replay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So let me ask you, what would you like to leave with the people? Again, on this wonderful special edition tonight, you shared a lot of knowledge, brother. I so respect you. I admire you. I thank you so much for just being, available to share. You're giving us a lot to think about. You're giving us information that we may not have heard before. You know, a lot of people are, like I said, they're coming into a lot of knowledge right now. I mean, my goodness, we've been in an information stage and age for a number of years, but things are starting to really take root and grow. And the deeper you go, you find out that there's more information out there. And so, you know, with tonight's show, what would you like to leave with the people? You know, they've learned about EFI system, they learned about Orienting, they learned that you're an Ori coach and what you do. We talked just briefly about love and happiness, and we're going to expound more upon that because I gotta have you back. If you're willing to come back, we gotta have you back for real, because that's juicy. You know, that's real. That's real. But, and of course they have your social handles, but you know, what are some last words you really would like to leave the audience with tonight? Let's say if this was the first and last time they were to ever see you.
If they were to never see me again, what I would want to leave them with is to understand your purpose before you leave this planet. That is why you were born. That is why you were put here. And do not let anybody into your space that is not on the same mission, that is not willing to understand and know who they are. Protect your space. I've always told people to build your castle, but while you're building your castle, build your moat at the same time. There's a reason why castles have moats, and that's to keep things that don't belong in out. So while you're kings and queens, you're building your castle, build your moat, build your castle with purpose so that you can leave the legacy that God has sent you here to fulfill. That is what we're here to do, and your legacy is supposed to make this world better than you found it when you were born. You are not supposed to leave with the world in the same place as you found it when you were born. And the only way we do that and make those changes individually, piece by piece, is to know your purpose. And since we're talking about relationships tonight, do not let somebody in that is not aware of their purpose and is not on the same mission, because that is just going to suck you dry from you fulfilling your purpose. Purpose people hang out with purpose people, period. So if you take anything else that I've said, walk away with understanding that your purpose is the number one goal you should be seeking after in this lifetime. Everything else will just fall in line after you figured that whole process out.
Brilliant. Well, guys, you heard it from Baba Makanjula tonight. Yes, here at the Inner Chi Show, first appearance, but not the last appearance. Thank you, brother, so much. I really appreciate it. If you don't mind hanging out here just for a couple more minutes, we will let the people go. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time.
A shizzle.
She's sugary, she's spice. She is everything plus nice. Take her one-on-one class and she provides the best advice. She'll take you down to the trenches, but only to lead a new way. Only for the sake of you and your legacy to establish a new day. Let's give a warm welcome to the Chief Reprimander and the Supreme Hugger, G. Smith.